Start recording. Good morning and welcome to Manic Monday. It's Manic Monday after Easter Sunday. I hope you had a great Sunday. I'm John Green with Association Member Benefits Advisors, joined by your Executive Director, Ann Fagan. We've got a lot to talk about today. Not a ton of time it's going to take, but we've got a lot of topics we want to share with you today. We're going to talk about protecting your nest egg. Before we do that, just a couple of quick reminders for those of you who maybe this is your first time on, or maybe you've joined us before several times. We appreciate that. Grab a pen and paper because we're going to give you some tips and tricks and things like that. Also, all participants are in a listen only mode, but if you've got questions, feel free to drop them into chat, put them in Q&A. At the end of the conversation, we'll have you hold up your hand. We can take you live on the webinar and do it that way. You'll also notice this QR code down in the bottom right-hand corner. And I'll direct you how to use that in a moment, but grab your smartphone and have that available. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. So, Ann, I know you were hitting the road here this past week on behalf of the association, but tell us kind of what's coming up here in, about 4 weeks or so away. I know it's time to wrap up registration.
It is. Registration stops on the 20th for convention. And we would love to see everybody there, but we understand everybody has their own comfort levels with what's going on, as usual with COVID. It feels like we've been doing this most of our lives now. But we are holding convention and we are going to have a great time. As you can see, it is the Wizard of Oz theme. And we really are going to be doing a lot of reconnecting and also planning, because we will be out on the road this fall doing our workshops again, our symposiums on the road, and speaking with everyone in person. And I'm really looking forward to that. It was so much fun. I was in Palm Beach earlier this week. I won't go into it right now, but I was able to go to a unit meeting there for a celebration and drive aside. It was wonderful to be there. I have said this many times, if I could do I Dream and Genie and do that and be anywhere I could be, I would love to do it. I would love to visit everywhere in the state. So John, I'll let you take it away a little further.
All right, we're celebrating. So Ann kind of gave a little bit of a teaser. Ann, tell us about your celebration last week.
All right, we went there to celebrate our 10,000th member in FREA. And it's a wonderful occasion because FREA is the fastest growing retired educators association in the country. We hold that honor right now. And so it took, now while we celebrated Carol, as you can see in the picture, it took 9,999 of you to get us to that 10,000th member. So we do not want to lose sight of the fact that y'all got us there. And I meant y'all in the Southern way. So we had a great time. We had a cake. We celebrated. They raised money for the foundation. Alexander Williams was there with me with AMBA. He presented gift cards to members that were there. And our TA, our parent organization, gave a $100 gift card in as an auction item. So it was a great event. And we had a good time with good food and good Publix cake. And we know y'all love those.
Great. Well, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be able to come down there and meet some of your folks here in the next month. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So, Ann, thank you very much for joining us. Excited about the continued growth that we have here. Just a quick reminder, my name is John Green. I work with Association Member Benefits Advisors. I live a little bit north of Houston with my wife, who is a second grade teacher in the same school that she and my 3 kids all went to elementary school in. I've spent the better part of my career working with active educators, helping them understand what their retirement years are like. And so I appreciate the opportunity to get together with you today and share with you quite a few topics. But before we jump into the conversation about protecting your nest egg, just a quick reminder, especially now with legislative season back in session, people getting out more and crossing over that 10,000 member barrier. The importance of FREA is even more so for you, your fellow retirees, and for those members or future members who are not yet members of FREA, to protect that pension that you work so hard for, to preserve any type of benefits and pay increases or cost of living increases that could be coming down the line. The bigger the voice, the better the opportunity there. And as Ann mentioned, being back together, FREA helps us stay connected to our local community. And I'll share with you some of my experiences here the past couple of weeks as well. And then to offer all those important discounts, the fun stuff, the things that help give you peace of mind as you're going through your retirement years. AMBA is relatively new to our relationship with FREA, just for about 2.5 years now, and we're excited that we can help you grow your membership. We work with about 75 associations across the country, very similar to yours: retired educators, active and retired state employees, firefighters, public servants. And our leaders down in Florida are Eric, Alexander, and Sam. And they kind of divide the state into thirds. These gentlemen are there to help you in your units. If you need some special speakers, you need someone to come visit you, that type of stuff, please feel free to reach out to Ann, connect you, go out to the website. You'll have my email address. We'll get you connected as well to get back out in person. These guys would love nothing more to do than to be with you in your units as well. And because AMBA and FREA have a great relationship, we're able to bring you benefits and discounts to fill some of those things that were not covered when you left the schoolhouse, maybe whether you're on Medicare right now, whatever your situation is. They're portable. If you leave Florida to move closer to grandchildren somewhere else, you can take the benefits with you. You can extend these benefits to your family members. It could be your children who have aged out of benefits. It could be your parents, if they're still alive, be able to take care of them, and prevent you, if you have a second job or something like that, from taking off additional time to take care of a loved one if you have these benefits. But today, we're talking about protecting your nest egg. And we're going to jump in and discuss real quickly kind of what makes up your nest egg, what is and isn't part of your nest egg. And we're going to look at a USA Today article that I pulled most of this information from, that are the top 5 threats to your nest egg, and how you can protect your nest egg against those threats to give you peace of mind and make the most of your FREA endorsed options that could help you protect your nest egg even more so. So let's jump in here and just kind of go back and set the stage. And I'm sure you've seen this 3-legged stool in the past, but really, as you're in your retirement years, the stability of your retirement is so important. Having your retirement system, having Social Security, and having some other savings to balance out that stool makes your retirement years even more comfortable or more predictable. And then when you get into inflation issues, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, that can kind of make that wobbly, you've got something that can help balance that out. And so we're going to go through and talk about some of those things to protect your nest egg. But before we do that, let's go ahead and kind of identify what does and doesn't make up your nest egg so that you understand what's out there. So your active pension is not part of your nest egg. Now, that's something that you're getting a monthly paycheck. You'll continue to get that as long as you live. Your spouse's Social Security, that type of thing, that's not part of your nest egg, nor is mattress money, or what I like to call that emergency fund. For those of you who are Dave Ramsey fans, that 3 to 6 months of your annual income, or whatever you want it to be, but that money that you need for emergencies, just like what happened to us, our furnace went out, which controlled our AC. And just like you in Florida, if you don't have AC in South Texas, you're not going to make it throughout the year. That's where that savings, that little mattress money goes for. That's not your nest egg, nor are structured settlements like claims payments, injury settlements, things like that, lawsuits. Those are not your nest egg. Those are consistent, either forms of income that are coming into you or money you've set aside for emergencies. What I'm talking about your nest egg are those things that you set up and did outside of your pension, Social Security, and things like that. Things like 403Bs, maybe that you started throwing $25 of your paycheck many years ago into a savings plan, tax deferred. That's a 403B for teachers, 401k for a spouse, something like that. That's part of a nest egg. Any IRAs, individual retirement accounts, cash balance pension plans, those type of things that maybe a spouse has, those are nest eggs. CDs, savings accounts, things that you maybe have saved up for a long period of time that you're making little to nothing right now, or an inheritance, maybe someone passed away, life insurance proceeds. Those are nest eggs. And that's how we're going to talk about today, what a nest egg is, how it works, those type of things like that. So we'll walk you through those type of things there. All right, so we're going to go through this conversation, and I pulled this up from an article I read in USA Today many, many years ago. Continue to update it, take a look at it, make sure it still applies today. But the top 5 threats that can really wreck your nest egg, really wreck what you've got saved up for when you need it, are taking care of elderly parents, the death of a spouse without life insurance, what I call boomerang children, and we'll get in a little more in depth in that, some type of medical crisis, and then overexposure to the stock market as we age. And we'll kind of get into more in depth about that. So I want to walk you through each one of these particular situations, these threats, and then show you what could be some options out there and kind of brainstorm together. Again, feel free, if you've got questions, drop them into the chat feature. We'll be glad to answer that as we go through here. So taking care of elderly parents, whether if you are the elderly parent or if you still have parents that are still living, that can be a huge threat to your own personal nest egg. The fact is that over 73% of us will be a long-term care provider in a home as an informal caregiver who receives no compensation. That can really wreck your nest egg. So think about this. Think if you are the elderly parent in your family, you're the matriarch of the family, the patriarch of the family, and your daughter has to stop her teaching career to take care of you, to come either have you move into her home or she moves closer to you to be able to take care of you. She has to stop her career. She has to stop her pension eligibility, stunt her career and her ability to make a living for her family, provide for her family, to provide for you. And you see those numbers down there at the bottom, that if someone has to retire early, and it impacts women more than men because usually women are the caregivers in the family, it can mean over $300,000 in income loss in the long run for them to take care of a family member. And not only can it mean the income loss right away, but it can really impact, I should say, their future pension earnings, their eligibility, their multipliers, their factors, things like that. Men a little bit less so than that, but that cost that it takes from a family member to take care of an elderly parent can be sizable. And that can really mess up a nest egg for future pension, for future savings, anything like that. And it can also impact relationships going forward as well. So there are some solutions out there. There are certain home health care plans. There are long-term care plans that can make sure that keeps you connected to where you want to be most, keep you at home if you want to stay at home, would provide for someone to come in and care for you so that a son or daughter or grandchild, something like that, does not have to take off additional time to take care of you or cut their career short to take care of you. So those are solutions that are out there for you. And as those of you who've been on our long-term care conversations, and I've shown you photographs of my father and told you his story, his long-term care costs were about $6,000 a month. And he needed to go to a facility because my stepmother could not take care of him any longer in her house. And so we were glad he had long-term care insurance to take care of that, because it would have forced her to hire someone to come in the house, stop her career as well, things of that nature. The second thing that can really wreck a nest egg is a spouse passing away without life insurance. And the fact is that 2 in 5 of us would feel some sort of financial pinch within the first 6 months of the death of a spouse. Having that life insurance that's available out there in the form of the proceeds can not only pay for those final expenses, that ceremony, that kind of thing, to wrap things up that way, but it could prevent you from having to dip into retirement savings early. It can prevent you from having to possibly incur penalties on some IRAs before you needed to take that money out, and could pay for things such as kids' college, grandkids' college, continue your expenses for housing, medical, things of that nature. So there's all different types of life insurance that are out there, whether it's offered through FREA and AMBA, or whether it's offered somewhere else. There's final expense whole life that can help give a nest egg that way, guaranteed issue life regardless of health issues that are available to you. But life insurance is so important to have no matter what age, because it can prevent you from having to dip it into other savings, or maybe that mattress money that we talked about that you need for other expenses out there. A medical crisis. Medical bills, regardless of whether we are insured or not, are the leading cause of bankruptcies in the United States. And 60% of expenses related to major issues like cancer, which is one of the top expenses out there, are not covered by Medicare or by private insurance. And as companies, as the government, as different insurance places try to keep their costs in line, could be your spouse, could be yours, you're starting to see larger deductibles or balanced billing, which is kind of the surprise billing for out of network situations. Those things are starting to creep up a little bit. And then as we age, those top 3 or 4 things, such as heart disease, an attack, or a stroke, and cancer, they become the top rated issues for us that also have a very high survivability, but have very big expenses that follow that. And for those of you who are educators that took on a second career after you left the schoolhouse, those chronic conditions can impair your earning potential if you're out there looking for another job. So there's those medical crises can really eat away at your nest egg. The solutions, maybe to have some sort of a plan that can give you a lump sum if you have a heart attack or a cancer diagnosis, that can pay for lost wages, that can pay for expenses related to that aren't covered by Medicare, aren't covered by your health insurance plans, those type of things. So again, these are ways that you can take care of that expense without having to dip into your nest egg or to pull money out of a 403B or 401k or an IRA you weren't expecting. Accident plans, the MASA membership. We've talked about this. Alexander's talked about it. It's a way for you not to have to pay for that life flight, for that care flight, or for ground transportation to a hospital. And it's covered 100% that you don't have to pay for it yourself. So ways that you can protect that nest egg in a medical crisis. Now, number 4 has not happened to me. Number 4 is one that scares me, and that's boomerang children. And with COVID, we've seen that more households have adult children living with them than ever before. And for retirement statistics, and for those of you who, most of you are on the call are retired, 52% of boomer households with children who don't live with them are fully retired, meaning they're not working, they're not having to worry about anything, they've got all their expenses covered. But when an adult child moves back in, that number drops significantly, well over half. Only 21% of boomer households who have children living with them are fully retired. So I don't necessarily have a solution for that other than lock the door, get a couple of locks on your door, or make them promise to be your caregiver forever. So, I mean, I love my children. I will do anything for them, as well as I imagine you would too. But having children move back into your home, having children or grandchildren that you're paying for college expenses, those type of things, for college loan debt for years into your retirement, those can really wreck your nest egg and have an impact on your quality of retirement as you go forward. And then finally, the number 5, or one of the top 5 things that can wreck your nest egg, is overexposure to the stock market as we age. Taking a hit to your retirement nest egg, your IRA, your 403B, your 401k for your spouse, that type of thing, when you can't afford to make it up, can crush you at the wrong time. There's probably not anybody on this call that doesn't remember 2008, 2009, especially if you lived in Florida, when the housing market was going sky high, and then all of a sudden it just crashed at the same time. The stock market dropped 48%. Now, if I was retiring right at that 48% drop time and had just lost almost half of my nest egg, did I have time to make that up over a period of years? Fortunately, we were blessed. The stock market has bounced back and moved up, but having some type of a plan to protect your money as you age is so crucial, because you can't afford to take a hit and expect to make it up in 2 or 3, 4, 5, 10 years. If you don't expect to live that long, you need that money now, especially if you're pulling off required minimum distributions or you're receiving a withdrawal off of your nest egg. And because interest rates are low on savings, that really impacts you greatly as well. Now, this is a chart that shows the bear markets, or the time when the stock market has declined 30% over at least a year plus and taken more than 2 years to recover. That's what they define technically as a bear market. And so the last true bear market we had was in October of 14, or excuse me, October of 7 and 8. If I knew when the next bear market was going to hit, you wouldn't find me on this webinar. You'd find me down in the Caribbean on my yacht somewhere down there sailing the islands. We don't know when these things are going to happen. We thought it was going to happen in 2007, 2008, and it did. We thought it was going to happen again when COVID started, and it only dropped for a few months and then came roaring back. It's down significantly now. You don't know when things are going to pop back up. And so having some type of peace of mind there when things like COVID happened, and you saw back in that COVID period 2 years ago, in that 3-week period, the Dow lost 37% of its value. And so we lost within 2 weeks, 30% of what we'd saved up for all of our lives. This is a screenshot. The worst thing that they could ever do on your iPhone is to put the stock market where you can check it every minute. I checked this box back in January, or checked and looked at it and saw where everything was in the red, dropping huge percentages, and it just doesn't make it fun. And for those of us who are relying on our nest egg to provide supplemental income from our Social Security and from our pension plans, to afford to take a hit and not have the years to make it back up, that's something we need to watch for. We need to make sure we're not overexposing ourselves to the stock market the older that we get. So I'll say, all right, I'll just throw it over into a savings account. Well, the average CD rates are little of nothing right now. You may be chasing a bonus of $100 if you put in $10,000 of new money, that type of stuff. So you can't really find a good place to put your money safely that's going to make you any money. At the same time, inflation is going up, up, up. I should have updated this because the new inflation numbers came out and they were even greater in March. Gas prices, food prices are at all-time highs, that type of stuff like that. So inflation is eating away at our nest egg. At the same time, the stock market is going down, which is taking away money from us as well. So you've got this double whammy, for lack of a better term. Our money's not going as far as it used to in purchasing power, and what we've saved up is dropping. There's no way to go find anywhere that you can even make 7.9%. Now, Ann and I talked about a concept that we're gonna kind of table for later conversations about I-bonds and other ways that you can maybe safely put your money away. We're going to show you some of those in the future, but there are some options that you have right now from FREA, a tax-deferred asset protection plan that ensures that you never run out of money and that you can take advantage of that lifetime of income and safety, that you never run out of money. It allows you to get the upside of the stock market, but no downside risk, that there's no way that you'll ever lose money in this as you protect yourself. So you don't have to worry, like almost 60% of us, that we're going to run out of money before we pass away in our retirement. Most of us aren't afraid of dying, but most of us are afraid of running out of money sometime in our retirement. And FREA has endorsed a tax-deferred asset protection plan that gives you the ability, as I mentioned, to not worry about running out of money. It protects you against any downside risk in the market. You only take advantage of the gains. But I'll tell you why I like it the most. I like it because it has additional long-term care benefits built inside the plan. And this is how it worked for me. I took an old cash balance pension program from a company that I used to work for that was paying me 2% in the plan. Wasn't making much money on it. Inflation was eating up my purchasing power. I took that money out of my cash balance pension plan, put it into this tax-deferred asset protection plan, so I'm not paying taxes on it. I get stock market gains, but I can never lose money. But I activated some provisions in there that say, if I need long-term care, I can take out as much money as I need without penalty. And if I'm already starting to take money out on a consistent periodic basis and I need long-term care, it will double my payment every month. So unlike your pension, to where if you have to need long-term care, you can't call the pension board and say, hey, double my pension check every month. This particular plan allows you to do that. So it gives me great peace of mind knowing my family history, knowing my father's situation, knowing that if I need long-term care for my spouse or I in the future, I've got money set aside that can protect me. But if I don't need it, I can use this money in my retirement however I want to. It gives me total control there, because what's not going away is that inflation. It may tamper down, but we know costs are up quite a bit now, and taxes don't go away. Taxes on our pension, taxes on our Social Security, on our tax deferred savings, especially when we start drawing it out, whether it's the required minimum distribution or we start taking money out of any pre-tax money that we had saved up. those things continue to go up regardless of who's in office, regardless of the conditions. We, though, need to take control of our money out there because we've got to prepare for more years of living. With the healthcare system the way it is right now, we continue to live longer than ever. Life expectancies continue to climb, even with COVID. We still continue to climb out there. And the number of us who are going to live well into our 80s and 90s is going to be significant. My children can expect to live into their hundreds. And so we've got to think about the impact of inflation, the impact of a health issue that in the past may have put us in the grave, but now we can recover from, be treated for, but it leaves an expense. It leaves some caregiving expense after the fact. Those type of needs are greater there. So now we've got to prepare for those years of living. And one of the best ways to do that is to protect our nest egg. And so hopefully you've seen some things that are out there, you know, as we talked about the cost of eggs, inflation going up, that type of thing. Certain plans don't have any type of COLA in them. Yours may or may not. But again, you've got to prepare for that out there. So I want to open it up to any questions out here. If you've got questions, feel free to drop it into chat. Hold your hand up on the reaction bar. I know we went rather quickly through here. It wasn't a very technical conversation, but I wanted to make sure that you had just a taste of what those threats could be out there. If you want more information, open up your smartphone. Everybody grab your smartphone, open up your smartphone, and open up your camera feature on your smartphone. Hover over that QR code and a little form's going to pop up. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to do that. And while you're doing that, then I'm going to show you kind of what's going to look like here in a moment. If you're not on if you're on your smartphone or on an iPad, and you can't do this, my email address is down there, john.green@amba.info. And you can email me. I'll get back to you, answer any question that you want. I always love getting feedback from members of FREA on things that you want us to talk about in the future as well. So feel free to put it in chat, Q&A, use that QR code. If you use the QR code, here's what's going to happen. You're going to see on your phone a little website QR code that says amberreview.com, something like that, open up. Press your finger on that, a little form will open up, and it may say on the top Florida Retired Educator Association. It may not. It may ask you to put in your association, but you can check what you want to learn about. You can put long-term care in there. You can put tax-deferred plan, whatever you want to. Scroll down, put your information in there and hit send. It'll come back to me. I'll take care of you, make sure that you've got the best information, any question answered that you want to whatsoever. I'll show you that QR code here in just a moment as well. Just a couple of quick reminders. Ann and I are working on the summer schedule for the FREA Manic Monday webinar, but we are going to be doing them live at the convention in May, or excuse me, in May, not April 25th, in May 25th. I apologize for the date there. So we've got 2 live sessions, and I'm going to be teaching on home fit and giving you some financial wellness, because home fit is not only how to modify your home, but it's also how to make sure that your records are in place. So we're going to bring you some tools. We're going to have some fun interactive sessions doing that, 2 of those sessions. And my buddy Alexander in the corresponding session is going to be talking about all the emergency transportation issues in Florida, how you can have peace of mind in that. But we're so looking to be in there live. I just got back this past week from 2 conventions, one in Oklahoma with about 250 retired teachers, and last week in Texas with over 900 retired teachers, all face-to-face. We're hugging, we're having a good time, enjoyed it. I cannot wait to get down into Florida to see you here next month. And we're a little more than a month away, Ann. It's going quickly.
You don't need to tell me, John. I'm not showing my desk today. Let's just put it that way. We've got a lot of things going on. It's just going to be a lot of fun. If you cannot come, please do not feel left out. I would love to have the technology to Zoom you in, to have you be part of it. But unfortunately, the parts I would Zoom you into would be the parts that they're the meetings. I mean, do you want another Zoom meeting? So we can't really Zoom you into the costume contest on Wednesday night. We can't Zoom you into, we are doing a big screen version of The Wizard of Oz on Tuesday night. Our keynote speaker is someone who's actually tied the invention of the potato chip to the Wizard of Oz. He is the potato chip expert of America. He's been on the History Channel. He's an incredibly funny speaker. So it's going to be a light convention. This is not going to be a heavy duty. We are going to do some serious business, but we are also going to be having a lot of fun. It's our way of easing back into in-person activities. We were able to have a convention last year. We kind of hit the sweet spot between regular COVID fading away and that D variant that suddenly appeared. We kind of snuck into that sweet spot right there last May. This time around, we're hoping we're solidly there and we can carry on and schedule the workshops in the fall to see everybody and do things. John does a great presentation on home fit. He talked about the I-bonds. I brought that up to him because I've got my wonderful CD in the bank, and I think I've had it for 7 years now, and I think I've made $122. So I'm not really going to be retiring off the results of that CD and anytime soon. Let's put it that way. I did see one now that's out there for a whopping 3%. So yay! And inflation's only 9%. Oh, that's fun.
You're only losing 6% on your dollars, so not bad.
I know, I'm only losing 6%, not 9%. So we have a question, John. Is a tax-deferred asset protection plan the same as an annuity? Did you answer that?
I have not answered that. Pat, thank you very much for asking about that. That's a great question. Annuities are all across the board. There are all different types of annuities. The tax-deferred asset protection plan that FREA endorses through AMBA is one form of an annuity. It is a fixed indexed annuity. And what that means is that your money, you participate in the ups of the stock market, but you're not in the stock market like a variable annuity. So therefore you can't lose money. So it is a form of an annuity. And so you have the ability to annuitize it, much like your pension plan. Whenever you're ready, start drawing off consistent payments as you want to. But there are annuities all across the board. Some have these tremendous fees in them. Some of them are fixed annuities, meaning that you get paid a flat percentage rate. And then when you're done, you get X number of dollars. There's all different types. So this is one form of annuity. So Pat, thank you very much for asking that question. Would love to answer and sit down with anyone and show them all across the board what annuities are and how this particular plan works for many, many retirees. And how, like I said, I mentioned why I purchased it for myself, simply because I wanted that long-term care protection that I couldn't get because of my family history of dementia. So that's why I did it for myself, to make sure that I had the coverage for myself and my wife. If I didn't need it, that I still had the money that I could use for whatever needs there. And most importantly, I didn't want to be a burden on my children to have to quit their careers, take time off, whatever it was. I wanted to be able to provide for my own care and my wife's own care in the way that I wanted to be taken care of. So Pat, thank you for that question. If you've got any other questions, drop those in there. Before we move along, Ann, why don't we celebrate our 10,000th member with a spin on the old wheel? We hadn't done the wheel in a while.
That sounds great. Hang on one second. Let's see. I got my new desk here, so I now have a stand-up desk because sitting down has never been my strong suit. Okay. There we go. All right. Yes, this is me standing up. I'm not very big. Okay. On three. And I've got $50 for Pat Byers, who is from, darn it.
Pat, I know you're on here. Tell us where you're from. Put it in chat. Hold your hand up. Congratulations, Pat.
I believe it's Franklin Gulf. She can correct me if I'm wrong. Franklin Gulf, for anybody that doesn't know, is up in the Panhandle. And it's a lovely part of the country with a lot of trees. So I just drove through there.
So Pat, if you're still on here, if you'll just let us know in chat that you're here, because we don't want to spin again. We want to reward somebody who's still on the call with us today. So drop that in there. And again,
yep, she's there.
Outstanding. Cool. Pat, thank you very much. So go ahead and if you know of folks that are getting ready to retire, if you know other teachers that are already retired, let them know about this series. Let them know about the educational opportunities they've got here, but more importantly, let them know about FREA. This is a great way to introduce them to your association, help them become members. Maybe they'll become the 11,000th member, as we continue to grow, continue to strengthen your voice. So I'm going to leave this open for any other questions. My contact information is there in the bottom, the QR code, if you want to hover over that with your phone, with your camera feature, get more information that way. Or I'll even just, like I said, I'll stop recording right now. And if there's any questions out there, I will entertain those.